We are live. I'm Naijha Wright Brown, host of Naijha Speaks, also contributing for Unchained TV. We're celebrating World Vegan Awareness Month. It's going on all through the month of November, and today's guest is communicating with the animals because as vegans, it's all about the animals, right? And everything else that encompasses veganism, environmentalism, diet, all that stuff. Gwenna Hunter of Vegans of LA, one of the largest BIPOC vegan member groups, boasting 90,000 followers and creator of the first vegan food bank in LA. Welcome, Gwenna. Gwenna, how are you?
That was a great introduction.
Thank you. So talk to us. How is this possible? How do animals communicate through humans?
Well, first of all, thank you for letting me have this platform to talk about this because this is how I became vegan. And it's really a near and dear subject for me, but I don't really get to talk about it so much because everyone wants to hear about injustices, food security, this and that. But this is my shit, if I can say that.
Oh yeah, we hey, I love Buddhism, so express yourself.
So yeah, I really love this. So just want to tell you thank you. And thank you for acting quickly and allowing me because it's going to help me manifest more opportunities. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Um,
UG, the goddess.
takes one to know one, don't it? So I'll just start with my vegan journey, which I know a lot of people have heard this story, but it's important because I had experiences prior to this that I realized were forms of communication I thought were just like dreams. But I became vegan after being vegetarian for a long time, which had nothing to do with animals, had nothing to do with compassion or empathy. I wasn't that person. I was one of those people. Well, during this time, not so much because I had China, my cat companion, with me. But there was a time in my life, if someone said, "Oh, my animal died," and they're depressed, I'm like, "Why are you sad?" Like I didn't have a connection.
Right.
And so anyway, I have this dream. In the dream, I'm flying in the sky and I see this really beautiful green pasture. And when I look down, there's this really beautiful cow. And when she looks up at me, we connect. Something happened between our eyes. There was some type of energetic transfer, or like I went down some type of tunnel or something, but it happened so quickly. And the next thing I know, I possessed the cow's consciousness. And
So
I
do you
was,
do you think the eyes are the what does that
yes.
say? The eyes are
They
the
say the
path to the
eyes are the
soul?
windows to the
The windows.
soul.
So that's in animals too,
Oh my
right?
God. Yes. They have the same stuff that we have. Actually, I think they were, like I have a cat, my cat companion China, who is like, she's a goddess. Like that's just a goddess in a cat form. But she is intelligent, she evolves, she communicates, she's affectionate. Like she is a whole person just wrapped up in some gray fur with a different form of communication and different urges and things like that. But she is powerful, just like any other goddess on this planet.
And anyone with domestic pets would know this, or do, because I've had pets, all my life, the most of my
Okay.
life, from living in the projects with my mom and my sister in a 2 bedroom, home or apartment,
Okay.
from when I was on my own and even till now. So anyone that has or own a pet compassionately, not the owners that are turning their dogs into guard dogs and stuff like, or maybe that is true. I don't know what people's situation is, but I know people that have pets know that these are sentient beings. They have
Yeah.
feelings. They can communicate. They have their personality. I mean, I have two cats that are opposites now. One is an explorer, always into something, not afraid of anything in our face, can communicate through a tap of the paw or, some compassion. And then we have another one that runs away, that doesn't want to be bothered
Yeah.
unless he wants to be bothered.
Right.
and totally opposite personalities. Talk more about your experiences with different animals, because we know about the domestic animals, but what about the farm animals? Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So with the cow, I possess all of her consciousness and memories, and like basically her life slowly and also quickly like flashed before me, but I was it. So I had all this remembrance of like giving birth, love, how I felt about humans, my community. Like I the emotions and the personality was so pure. Like when I woke up, I was crying.
Yeah, have a moment, please, because I was talking to someone the other day while I was tabling at the Meatless Mondays on the Avenue here in Baltimore, the Avenue Market, 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to be doing another one in December 5th. In our community, and I speak to the BIPOC community, because I can only speak to the BIPOC community. I don't know about anybody else's community, but we need to learn more of this compassion. That's why I say when you come to naijaspeaks.com, we're going to find that vegan soul, because everyone has a vegan soul, a level of compassion. I even go on to say that you can be, a hardcore killer. There is a compassion in there. And,
Right.
I think starting with just an animal,
Yes.
seeing them as one. We're all one. So, yes, please have that moment.
Thank you. And this is probably why I don't talk about it as much, because I get emotional sometimes. Especially when I have my cat with me, because she constantly keeps me in a state of like, wow, because she's always blowing my mind and doing mind blowing shit that I'm like, what? And so anyhow, with the cow, the love was so pure. And when I woke up from the dream, I was crying, because I had always considered myself at that time, definitely a spiritual bougie person.
What does that mean? Okay, wait. See, that time out was now you trying to bring some up. What does a spiritual bougie person mean? I mean, because I embrace the chakra and energy and numerology, and I listen to Ralph Smart. Infinite
I
Waters.
like Ralph.
Yeah. So what does that mean, spiritual bougie? Could explain that before you continue.
I mean, I thought I was up on all my shit, my spiritual shit. Like you couldn't tell me nothing. I had all these different type of experiences, like spiritual experiences, supernatural experiences. So I was just, not that I felt like that was it. Like I knew there was more evolving to do, but I was feeling myself, so
he was like, I know something that y'all need to snap
right,
step
y'all
your
need
game
to catch
up.
up.
Yeah, okay, showing off. Okay, all right, got it.
At that time, I'm different on that now, but at that time, so my mind was blown. I mean, it was so humbling and so like, wow. And I could still feel the physical like love from the cat. Like I felt this tingle on me. And then I started to question, because I'm also a skeptic, because it's like I have to examine it. I don't just accept that. Like, I'm like, okay, this happened because did I eat something weird last night? Like I started going through that, even though I know better, but I started to question it. And all of a sudden, while I'm awake, I'm not dreaming anymore, I'm wide awake, I'm laying in the bed. And all of a sudden, I feel this really warm feeling like right over my heart. Like it felt like someone put a heater there, but it wasn't like a regular type of heater. It was like a warmth. I don't have the language for it, but it was just like this loving warmth. And when I put my hand on it, I was like paralyzed with complete peace. Like, and that's a weak word, peace, to use to describe what I felt, but it was just like this surrendering to this warm light that was loving, trust, like there was nothing to question. It was so safe and beautiful. And I could have, if someone gave me the option, would have been like, you want to just check out of Earth and stay here? I'd have been like, bye Earth. Like it felt that good. And then it probably lasted for maybe a few seconds. And then I came out of it and I was just like, oh my God, what I felt, what I experienced was real. I got to tell everybody.
Right. Exactly.
Because, and I'm like, I can't believe we eat them and they're conscious and they love and they're aware. Like it. And then I'm like, okay, well, if cows love, then pigs probably love too. Makes sense. If pigs love, chickens love, turkeys. So I'm just like mind blown because I'm just like, oh my God, it was like an awakening.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what it was. It was an awakening. And so I'm starting to awaken to all these truths about animals. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then synchronistically, within a few days, I come across the video, Dairy is Effing Scary by Aaron Janis, that 5-minute video about dairy. And I had never seen anything like that in my life. And I was just like, oh my God. And they go through this.
Woo, well, what is this? Because I was going to definitely ask when you talked about the cows, people need to understand the sacredness of the cow and what they endure to provide this milk or this product that is being pushed on, all of us, but specifically the African American or the BIPOC community, just say low income community. So really talk about that. We got some comments coming in. Yes, cats are pleasantly mind blowing. Amira, absolutely. I love them to death. I love all animals. I love dogs too, but cats are pretty much they're just like goddesses and stuff.
I'm telling you, like a cat all day, every day for me.
Veganism is an awakening. And yes, Gwen is speaking to that. Let's talk about the cow and the dairy.
Yes. So when I saw the video, Aaron Janis did this video in a way that it wasn't like, you're horrible, look what you're doing to the animals. Look, she didn't do any of that. And it came across in a sarcastic, almost humorous way for you can kind of let your shield down a little bit and receive it. And I'm watching it and she's showing like, them having I forget what it's called, but the metal machines on, I just say her breasts. I know we call them teats, but I like to humanize cows as much as possible so people can make the connection. These metal things, clamp things on her breasts, extracting the milk out. I'm looking at videos of, them being pulled and kicked and their babies yanked out of them and them going after their children. And for me, I didn't see a cow. I saw a woman because I had no idea they were pregnant for 9 months. Like I was making all these connections. And so for me, I was like, look at what they're doing to this woman because her breasts, I have breasts, she's giving birth. I haven't given birth, but I have the capability of giving birth. And just watching that and watching her mourn when they take her son, and her son is what we call veal. And it was crazy. So for me, I didn't even have the animal element. It was just like this woman. I saw slavery. I saw rape. I saw murder. I saw kidnapping. Like it was clear. There was it wasn't blurry for me. Nothing intersected. I saw a woman going through a torturous life. And so for me, I was like, I will never, ever support dairy or cheese. Because I thought, a farmer had his blue jean overalls on and was milking the cow. Like as a grown ass woman, like I still hadn't let go of that programmed image of, and she's saying moo and it's all good. I had no idea.
There was a time where there's farms that do that, but now it's so industrialized that, it's just utterly cruel. Hey, Nancy Posnack, hello. She's sending us hellos from Baltimore. Baltimore is where I'm at right now. Thanking you for the presentation, or thanking us for the presentation. My whole thing with when it's the exploitation of the female animal, it's just it's an example of what's just going on in general with the exploitation of women beings. We're all sentient beings, and it's kind of like take what we want and we throw you away. So I'm glad you're touching on this subject, because it is a sensitive subject, because it's not just about animals. It's this exploitation of the female species, and it
Yeah.
goes on with the cows, with the chickens, and the bees. So
It's crazy because when you think about it, like, when I give talks or talk to people that are non-vegan, I'm always experimenting with different ways, but one thing I always insert is I talk about how we eat the animals. I'm like, yeah, because I'm like, I did too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's crazy how we eat their body parts. We eat another animal's breast. We're eating somebody else's breast.
Right.
How sick are we?
Well, marketing and programming, does a lot of damage, in the masses. People are generally followers before they are leaders. So, you're just following the masses. Did any of these experience ignite the passion in your starting the Vegans of LA, which again, you're talking about right now, I'm looking at 90,000 followers in this group. Is that where some of the passion came from to start this group?
Well, actually, when I started the group, I wasn't vegan. When I started Vegans,
whoa, let's talk about this one.
Yeah, I wasn't vegan. I was curious about being vegan and had tried it out a few times, but I thought vegans were, in my mind, I had a programmed image of vegans taking blood and throwing it on people. So, but what's crazy? I made this connection yesterday. When I look at what I thought of the movement before ever even knowing what it was, I was fearful of it. It was scary to me, vegans, like animal rights vegans. I thought they're violent, they attack people. So, and people still kind of think that in a sense,
Oh yeah, absolutely. They think,
and it's what I thought. Yeah, and it's what I thought because I saw videos of, I don't know if it was real blood or paint, but I saw stuff from back in the 80s, animal rights activists throwing stuff on people, and all that. So I was just like, they're crazy. They're extremists. I'm like, I'll try vegan, but I don't know if it's not necessary. Who cares if you drink milk, eat cheese? Like, what's the big deal? Like, I had no freaking clue. You asked me a question. I forgot what the question was. No,
that's fine, because I'm looking at the comment. So it doesn't make sense that so-called feminists aren't vegans. Same with so-called environmentalists. It's the research and the education. And I was doing a presentation, or I was I was doing a presentation the other day, and this topic comes up all the time, and we have to remember that food is a social thing. It's social, it's personal, and once you start changing your ideology around food, and then in our community, it's fellowship. Think of the church. Once you start changing your ideology around food and cutting things out, you're kind of changing your circle of influence, and you're going to change your base of friends. And a lot of people are trying to look for new friends. There's a lot of people I know that haven't had new friends since elementary school. So this is a shift that people have to go through. And because you're showing a documentary, and because we're even having this conversation right here, doesn't mean somebody's going vegan tomorrow. It's just not like that. It's a transition.
Yes, it's a transition. And I will say, because I'm judgmental, and I'm also compassionate and patient, and have awareness that people are on their own journey. But I'm not going to act like sometimes I'm just like, come on, earth. Like,
no, you can't.
But to what I think it's, I don't know if it's Amira it's Amira that said about feminists, they haven't, this is just my perspective. I don't have any data on this or anything like that, but I've heard people say you have to get people with logic. The issue sometimes with always using logic is that it's easy to backslide on logic and go back to what you're used to, because it's not hitting you in your morals or in your heart. So some people just haven't had that awakening yet. They haven't made that connection, because once you make the true connection, you got a new activist on your hands. You know what I'm saying? Someone that's going to go to bat, but they haven't made the connection yet. And could we influence the connection? Perhaps, but it's their journey. And I know.
Thank you. It is their personal journey, and they have to go through it just like we all have. Some people can go vegan next day, watching a documentary, going to a sanctuary, whatever it was that flipped the switch on, hey, I'm enlightened, just like what happened to you. All of us go through it. Me, it was a health scare. I was in my early 30s, and you're talking about I'm going to be on meds if I don't do something about the cholesterol, and I'm holistic. It just doesn't go together. I can't do like, meds. Like, I'm imagining I'm going to have 20 different pills to take. Now I'm paranoid. So, you know, we got to do something about this problem. And then it evolves to education around the whole vegan practice. So everyone has to go on their own journey. So the vegans of LA, you weren't vegan when you started this group. What would you recommend to folks that, well, I don't like animals. I don't like pets. I don't, is there something to say to them to this, or, should we just say, okay, how do we start with just communicating with animals? Just basic.
Yeah. Well, I would say, because there's times where my cat has appeared to me in my dreams to give me a message about something that she was trying to tell me and I just wasn't getting. So I would say these are just little different tools and techniques that I use when I want to experience something, or when I need to go deep into a spiritual abyss about a topic. Is one, first having the desire to even have that experience. So if your desire is to communicate with animals, or I would start with an animal in your home, or an animal, maybe any closest distance that you have to an animal, the more connected, the better. And one, just having the desire. Two, talking to your animal with your actual mouth. Like, I have conversation, like, it's so funny. I feel like she's a teenager now. So she's going through this thing where she goes in the bathtub, and I was looking for her and I peeked in. I was like, hey, you okay? And she like, almost like she told me like, Mom, like, give me my privacy. And I'm like, sorry. And I'm like, here I am, like, trying to give her autonomy and her space. But it's like, yeah, we have that type of like, relationship where it's just like, I try to, like, as consciously as I can, not suppress or oppress her, because I've seen a lot of animal people act very oppressive to their animals, not realizing that they were. But I know that we have to have some form of control, because they just can't, leave and come out and eat as much as they want. Like, we are regulating a lot of things.
Right.
But I do try to give her autonomy. But my purpose in saying that is treat them equal as much as you can. The more equal that you treat them, the more something will open up with your hearts and with the connection to allow you to have that additional way to communicate when the physical part isn't necessarily enough, or you want to just go deeper. So I will say that start with treating your animal as equal as possible. And even with me saying your animal, like, minus the possession part, like, I try to use her name, China, my animal companion. But in real life, sometimes she's my sister, sometimes she's my daughter, sometimes she's my mother.
Right. Hit Vanilla here, Vanilla this is the one that's outgoing, and she always has to make a debut when I'm here. Streaming.
Tail slaps.
Yeah, exactly. But some people may feel that's a nuisance and they're like, hey, get out of here, cat. But it's like, she wants to be known. She knows what's going on. I'm communicating with somebody. She knows something's happening here, because when nothing is happening and I'm not talking to anybody, she's not here. As soon as the lights go on and I start conversating, she's around. She was like, I want to be in on this conversation. I want them to
That's
see
right.
me. You know what I'm saying? And on that note, I'm just going to do a little plug here. You're tuning in to NaijhaSpeaks.com. I'm usually on every Thursday at 11, but this is a special edition featuring Gwenna Hunter of Vegans of LA, founder of Vegans of LA, and creator of the first vegan food bank in Los Angeles. Gwen is just doing some amazing things. So please follow, like, share, and subscribe to NaijhaSpeaks.com. And, the Black Veg Society. I am the executive director of the Black Veg Society. We are meeting people where they are on their holistic health, vegan, and plant-based journey. Please support us at blackvegsociety.org. That's how we make all this stuff happen. We love interviewing activists, advocates, plant-based, lifestyle coaches, all types of people, businesses, institutions in the movement. So please show your love. All right. What else would you like to share with us in terms of communicating with the animals? Because you got the Vegans of LA group that started when you weren't a vegan, and now you have the first vegan food bank in LA. Talk to us about your journey and where's all this going with the communicating, and are you going to teach about that? Where are you going with this?
That is an outstanding question that I wasn't really prepared for. I guess a question that does need to be asked. What do I plan to do with this? Because this is just one of many stories. So I've had quite a few experiences throughout the years, particularly with cows. For some reason, there's really a strong connection I have with cows to where they come through me and sometimes will say things that I know I'm supposed to share with the world. And the reason I hadn't really shared it was because when I went vegan, it was in 2016. And during that time on the Vegans of LA page, I noticed anytime I said anything really compassionate about animals, people would be like, "Oh, you love animals more than people." Like, it would just be a lot of negativity. And I'm like, okay, we're not ready yet.
Right.
We're about the health. Okay, foot in the door.
But how would we position that? And Sarah Siegel is saying, "Hey, Gwenna, how would we position that? Because it doesn't have to be, oh, we're all, how. Okay, if someone said that to me about, oh, we just care more about animals than humans, it's not that that's the case. It's that the foundation is, there's a level of compassion that it should be displayed towards the animals because they're voiceless, right?
Right. And I think too, it's also Black people have a lot of emotional trauma, and it's like they hear animals. And to me, what that's saying when someone says that, so many people in the collective say, as soon as you show love for another being, that has nothing to do with their existence. It's just like, I have the capacity where I can love not just humans, but I can also love animals. I can also love, rodents. I can love insects. Like, I've developed enough room in my heart where I can do all of it. But some people they hear animals and they feel, I think, a trauma because of the comparison. So that story is still being replayed in a lot of the collective's mind. And I think once we stop replaying the trauma, replaying the stories, replaying the pain, we'll naturally, organically start opening up our heart and remembering like who we are, first of all, and two, just our capacity to love. Like, who cares if you love humans and animals? That sounds like a win to me. So
exactly. I think there's a re-education that needs to be done here because our community has been labeled as animals as it's a negative thing. When I just said before coming on, we're all animals and mammals. So if we know we're all that, like, why was it used as this derogatory term towards us, during slavery? And now we have to re-educate, and we're all animals. It's just a lot of undoing that has to be done, and that's part of the problem. Now the love for animals, or the show of love for animals, the community assumes, oh, now we're not valued as much as animals, where I
Right.
think the problem, is a lot deeper than that, as we
Right.
all know.
Right. Because I've met a lot of resistance from people in major social justice groups that I'm like, oh, white people just, it's white people, they just love animals, or it's like, seem like most vegans just love animals. And I'm like, you can do both.
I know, right?
I
It's
just
like,
and I
and
stopped
you only
talking.
be focused on one thing. Like, no, you can do multiple
I'm like,
things.
it's so you can multitask. You can love animals and people. It doesn't feel worse, doesn't feel bad, it doesn't make you blow up or get sleepy. You just love both. Like, it's okay to do that. And I think giving yourself permission for that, for me, I didn't have to have permission, because it just kind of like pushed right, came right on through. But I think some people have to give themselves permission to like open themselves up spiritually and emotionally, and be like, oh, I can actually love another species, because that's who we are anyway. Like you said, we're the soul. Like, everyone has a vegan soul. I think that's what you were saying.
Yes.
Because you come here to this planet pure, then you get mucked up.
Right. Exactly.
But the muck can be cleaned off, or, to some degree. It can be reversed, it can be, reprogrammed. So that's my hopes, is to kind of help reprogram people's mind that are probably I'm very good with hippies. I'm very good with people that have experienced emotional trauma, because one of the things I used to ask when I would do these talks before, I would ask people if they ever experienced suffering. Has anyone ever experienced suffering? And most people will say yes. And then I'll say, has anyone ever lost autonomy of their body, of their rights? Has anyone ever been verbally abused, physically abused? And so people are like, yeah, me. And then, without saying, the animals, is when I kind of start talking about how the way we treat their bodies. Because Black people and animals, like, the blueprint for slavery is the blueprint for slavery. I saw the same thing when I watched the cow get beat and kicked, and this taken from her, and the abuse. And I'm like, this is the same blueprint, just being repeated on a different part of the collective. And for me, it was very clear. But some people just don't make that connection, and I'm not gonna act like I don't get frustrated.
Right. It's exploitation. It's oppression, and just controlling a being that, and then again, it's a voiceless being. It has no voice, so it can't speak up. It can't communicate in ways of whether it's trying to wiggle out or run away, or yell in the way it yelps for help. I believe, in terms of, if you love an animal, whatever animal it is, that's one sentient being that's going to give you the love back.
Yes.
Humans,
without
maybe
grudges,
not so much. Right, exactly.
You back in 19, like, animals do not. That's what I learned about China. She taught me so much. Like, her emotions are so pure, and we have our moments where we get into it, because she want a 5th can of tuna or something. I'm like, no. And then she's running around zipping and acting up, and we're fussing, and then next thing I know, she's laying on top of me purring. I'm like, hey, I missed you.
Exactly.
If it was a person, we still wouldn't be talking.
Right. And it's an interesting dynamic, because it's authentic. It's not someone that's out to get you for something. It's an authentic love, and you won't have to worry about betrayal and all this other stuff. So that's why I think, folks, if you don't like animals, and you're vegan, I mean, because there are vegans out there that don't like animals, I've heard that. maybe spending a little bit time, and then that's a whole bunch of research that has to be done there too. What is that really about? Or there be folks that are allergic. People are allergic to animals, they can't be close to
And some
animals.
people have. I had animal trauma. Like I remember being chased by a dog, bit by a dog. I seem to have this thing with dogs with a lot of fear. It was the point I don't care if the dog was this big.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? Get it away from me. Like I wanted nothing to do with dogs. I was terrified of them. I don't care how big or small they were because of my childhood trauma with them. So some people have trauma, past life stuff. That's a whole other conversation. But I know for me, this was another animal experience. I was, I don't think it happened yet, but I was getting ready to move to Florida. Kept dreaming. I think I had the dream like 5 days in a row of these dogs. And it was like a dog family, and they were like laying in this cloud, and it was the mother, the father, the daughter, and the son, and they were like these pit mixes, and all this love like was just emanating from them onto me in the dream, and I was just like, oh my God, they're so loving. Like I just felt all this love, and I had the dream every day for like 5 days. It never strayed. It was the same exact dream, same dog, same love, and I'm like, what is this dream trying to tell me? So I remember going for a walk and seeing a dog, and usually I would like cross the street, but all of a sudden I felt like I wanted to go up to the dog and touch the dog, and I did. So them visiting me like started healing me from my dog trauma to where I wasn't like, deathly terrified of dogs anymore. I mean, I have moments every once in a while if the dog has a weird growl or looks at me funny, but for the most part, like it took most of my fear away.
It's an energy thing. I think animals sense energy just like people sense energy. All peoples may not be able to have the same synergy amongst each other like they may other people, but we
Yeah.
could all get along
Yeah.
on some level. So I think animals are the same. If it's not the vibe for them, it's not the vibe.
Yeah.
I'd like to have 2 pets at the same time. That's just me. Like that's my level of compassion, because I know they don't want to see my face every day, and then
Mhm.
so they're not paranoid about seeing another being of their likeness. So I've always had two of the same pets at a time. 2 cats, 2
Okay.
dogs. If it was I used to younger, I had mice and rats. So so the only time I had a solo one was when I had a dwarf rabbit, and that's because I had cats. So
Oh
it
yeah, because
wasn't
they
like,
go after the rabbits. Yeah.
yeah. So, I would keep that one, protected, sometimes running around the house, with the cats, behind closed
Yeah.
doors. So I definitely have a love for the animals and the compassion. And during COVID, this pair of cats that we have now, we've had them for a year, were adopted from the SPCA because
Okay.
the initial pair that we had when me and my husband first hooked up, one by one, they transitioned on. So it took me a little while to get more pets,
Okay.
but she was of age 9. So I said, it's been 9 years. She
Was
wants a
that
pet.
was your cat?
The cat, yeah, the two
Okay.
of them. We got her. That was the second one. We have a tabby. We got the tabby first, and we got her a month after. And this was during COVID. My daughter had just turned 9, and this was
Okay.
our first time adopting. I had never been through the adoption process, so they're both adopted through SPCA. So we're just lucky to have them. They're just amazing
Aw.
personalities. Like I said,
Yeah.
within itself, it's just the communication is deep, is heavy. They know how to
Yeah.
tell us things, and we
Yes.
know these cats, and they definitely know us. It's really interesting, and it's definitely a love that it's just, you can't explain it unless you actually feel it, because each
Yes.
animal is different. What else would you like to share with us before we close out? Because I know I could talk to you for a long, that you've been doing so many different things. So just let us know how we can connect with you, follow you, anything else that you want to share before we leave out.
I do want to share a really short dream that happened, and because this is something that I have needed to say, so I might as well say it while I'm here.
Yes.
Um, there were these different cows. They were mother cows that it came to me, and they just it wasn't like a dream. We'll say that for another time. But anyway.
No, you go see, now you holding back.
I know I am holding back. I am. I'm gonna admit I am holding back.
Why?
But I'm not gonna hold back on the dream.
Okay.
So in the dream, they were appearing to me like one by one. And they kept saying the same thing. Each one kept saying the same thing. They kept saying a mother is a mother is a mother. And they said, we never stop mourning our children.
Wow.
And I got to feel just a little bit, because I don't think I could have handled too much, their grief and what they experience. And it was intense. But it was just a tiny, tiny bit, because it would have been probably too overwhelming for my body. But they wanted us to see. Wanted us to know how much pain it causes them when their children are taken. And like they said, we never stop grieving. I wish I could give this feeling to people. Well, actually, I don't know if I wish I could, because it is heavy, but it needed to come out right now, because I want people to really understand, even vegans. And they do have voices. We just don't know how to hear it.
What would you like folks to do? Again, I'm going to bring this World Vegan Month, and this is why I'm featuring special shows and interviews, because it is World Vegan Month and we're going into 2023, and usually people wait until the new year to change behaviors, or whatever that word is they use, the resolutions. Well, during this month, maybe this is a time to pledge to maybe visit a sanctuary, maybe dive a little deeper into educating yourself around the dairy industry and the cruel practices, or just finding, dipping your toe into finding your vegan soul. I mean, here at Black Veg Society, we can definitely help you do that. We have a ton of people and resources that you can connect with, and right now Gwenna Hunter is one of them. So Gwenna, how else can they connect and follow you to find out more and connect with you more on this topic? What do you want folks to do? What's the call of action?
So I'm just this year making the decision to have more conversations like this. So I'll be putting out some content soon that I'm editing right now. So I don't know if it's going to be out in the next few weeks or sometime like in December, but you can follow me on Vegans of Los Angeles _ or Gwenna _1 on Instagram.
Instagram at Vegans of Los Angeles _. Yes. And then you got at Gwenna 1. Please, I mean, there's someone out there, or some people out there that's listening to this, that's trying to find their vegan soul, don't know how, don't know who to talk to, don't understand it, don't know how to navigate it. Please connect with Gwenna, and get more of her story, interview her, share, like, and connect with blackvegsociety.org. Go vegan. I would say pledge to continue the month out going vegan. I know the holidays are coming. If you're not vegan and you're tuning in, one day at a time. But, let's go into 2023 thinking more compassionately, understanding that cows are also sentient beings, chickens are sentient being. We're, consuming the egg, which is also a potential child, that's going to be birthed, and compassionate action. So, I thank you for coming on, Gwenna, and sharing your story. I know it was really deeply felt, and I totally understand. At the age of 10, I witnessed some young kids throwing hard snowballs at a dog. It looked like Benji, and this is kind of after I used to watch Benji, the movie.
Me too.
So, and I had to save the dog, go up against these bigger boys, and I'm little,
Oh,
young, don't know what I'm doing, but we saved the dog and brought him upstairs home, and took care of the dog. So I totally
mm,
understand. And it's a real thing. It's a compassionate thing, and we can love humans and love animals too. We can do
that's right.
both. So
That's
I
right.
appreciate it. So again, thank you for coming on. Let me know if you need anything else, folks. Again, tune in to Naijha Speaks. I'm on live every Thursday, unless it's a pre-recorded broadcast, but please tune in. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let me know if there's some topics that you'd like us to talk about. We have some topics lined up, for the next few weeks. But if there's something that you want to see, please let us know. And support blackvetsociety.org. This is how we make this and other events and things happen. So go to blackvetsociety.org. Please support us. Tell a friend. And whatever you're doing for the holidays, please be well, be safe, and go vegan, all day, in the morning, on Monday, at night, just, get on that path, get on that journey. And, it all matters. I appreciate you. And thank you again, Gwenna. Have a good one.
Thank you.